Okay, so the next thing we are going to talk about is we're going to talk about doing marker technique on your theme design. You did a worksheet that I did a video with you, so you know how to do hatching and stippling, you know how to do scumbling, cross hatching, several other variety of textures that you can use. I want to show you one completed one. Notice that things that are dark, okay, are next to things that are lighter. Like this equality sign would not have shown up if this would have been hatched along with the, behind the face or in front of the face. So you have to make sure that everything is showing up. We don't want to have white against too much white. We don't want to have too much black against too much black. If we do have black against black, notice how we put that nice thin white line right there. That's the positive and negative line that we were talking about. Here's another one. We have this white hiker, okay? He is next to a black background. Again, we have this image here that has a little bit of hatching in it, and it's white, so they chose to color in these leafy looking patterns. So that's what we're going to do now. And I'm going to make you a photocopy and so you can practice. So when you're practicing, I've already kind of started here just outlining. I want to make sure, what am I going to do my art? Am I going to leave my word art light? Am I going to make it colored in? Am I going to make it stippling? So that's what I need to decide first, is what you want to do your images. So I'm just going to practice. Maybe I want to do my art with some stippling just on the outside to make it look more three-dimensional. And that's what we need to make sure that we're doing. We are using these marker techniques to make our images look more 3D and have value. Okay, anybody can outline this and just make a white outline. That's not the concept of this assignment. We are wanting to use the marker techniques that we have done to make our images look like they have form, like they have value. And that's exactly what I'm doing here. You can see now that I have done some stippling on this A, I'm not covering everything up with stippling, but it looks a little bit more rounded and 3D, has that effect there. Okay, so maybe I'm going to do that. So I'm going to try that for one. Well, maybe, let's see what it's going to look like if I did the whole thing black. Is this going to be too bold? And that's what you have to decide. You need to decide what you're going to do with your images, and then we'll go back and we'll do our background patterns, because we can't do it all at once. Then you can also practice, and that's what I really, really want you to do, is make a photocopy. You don't have to do the entire thing when you're practicing, but maybe just do a couple areas and say, oh yeah, this is what I really like, and then you can move on to your final. Then when you come to another area, say I'm not for sure what I want to do with my paint tubes down here, I can come back and decide. I can practice that on my photocopy. Okay, so I have two options here. All right, so I really kind of like it with the dark, or maybe I want to do the T the same way as I did my A. So, okay, let's see what's going to look like when I do the background. If I do the white with the stippling, maybe I want to fill in the checkers. Let's see what that looks like. That's not bad. I'm kind of liking it. Okay, that looks pretty good right there. I like that a lot. Now, let's say if I did the R, or if I did art in black, do I want to go that much? Well, if I did color the background in like this, and if I color the squares in, I would want to make sure that I left a little white line where the black and the black meet. So you can see, let's zoom in a little bit here. So I've left a little bit of white in between the black and the black. All right. Maybe I don't like that. Maybe I want to do something like this with my squares and have it a pattern. So those are some options that you get to do and play with when you're practicing. Okay, so you want to just make sure that everything is standing out. Notice what I've done over here. I have done line variation. I'm thinking, yeah, I kind of like this palette white because I'm going to have a brush over here and maybe I'm going to do some hatching on that brush to make it look like it's more rounded. But I need to make sure, is that going to be enough? My brushes are going to be back there. You know, maybe it's too much white against white and I might have to go back and color that in. That's what we are doing when we're practicing. But let's just take a look-see here. Flip it upside down, do the other side. And another thing, let's say that, you know, I really, really, really want this to be a hatched brush, but it still doesn't stand out very well. Well, what I can do is I can come back and I can make a line, make a thicker line underneath there to make that stand out a little bit better. And that's not too bad. I kind of like that. I think that will work. Okay. Do I want to do the same thing with this one or do I want to make this one black? I don't know. Maybe you're going to do a different technique. Now this marker, we talked about the markers running out. This marker is running out, so I'm kind of getting a really cool texture I really like. So I'm going to do that on my paint. My little paint daubs here. But you just have to play around with the texture. There's so many different textures, and I hope that you will take a look at the PowerPoint and look at all the different textures that everyone has used in some of these. Here's another one that I didn't show you. This did all the faces. They have a scumbling down here. They've done a ballpoint pen texture that we did on the worksheet. That works really well for very fine, thin lines, very light texture. They've done a colored completely in with a little stipple here. So there's so many different techniques that we can use, and you just have to play around with those and find out which one it is that you want to use. So have fun with this. I hope that you'll practice a couple times before you put it on your final. Like I said, you don't have to fill out the entire thing. Just play around and see what looks good. And then we think, you know what, this is what I like. Then you can transfer it to your final. So keep in mind, last but not least, you need to make sure that your value is balanced throughout your artwork. We don't want everything dark up here and then lots of white down here. We want even distribution. You want even distribution of darks, even distribution of textures, and even distribution of lights. Okay. And remember, when you're creating a medium value, like I created a medium value right here, I had to use a hatching to do that. Okay. That almost looks kind of gray if I was to squint my eyes. So make sure that you create your values with hatching, stipple, cross hatching, line variation. And then you need to look, is it neat? Are my images clear? Do things stand out? And if they don't stand out, then maybe you need to rethink what values you're putting together. Okay, have fun with this one.